Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Law and Finance Show. And today we have another great guest because one of the very important things about running the business side of a law firm is your practice management software. So today we are speaking with Practice Panther to learn a little bit more about Practice Panther and some of the things you can look out for in their features. So stay tuned for today's episode. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Sam. Welcome to the show today.
Hey there, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to connect here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, there are a ton of people that are probably talking about practice management softwares. I mean, there's so many companies that are having tech shows or they're having their own platform. So I'm interested to talk about that. But before we jump into that, can you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you came into the industry of legal technology?
Yeah, so like a lot of people coming out of high school, college, or whatever it may be, I didn't really know what I was going to get into. I grew up here in Miami. Always thought I'd land somewhere and maybe doing some real estate. Got into a little bit of commercial real estate, but after a couple years in that industry, I just felt like I needed to do something else. I wasn't feeling fulfilled and satisfied. And about a week or two before I was about to take a jump across the country to Los Angeles, I get a phone call or a message from a friend, and he's telling me, "Hey, there's this new company just starting out in the legal tech industry," and this was 7 years ago. I'm like, "The legal tech industry? Okay, what's that about?" And he tells me, "Listen, they're just hiring salespeople. Just talk to them." So I go in, I have the interview. I did some research on the market and what it meant, the actual legal tech industry, legal technology industry, and I just felt like it clicked. And here I am 7 years later doing this interview with you.
Nice, nice. That's very interesting because, like I said, your background is not, as a lawyer or an attorney or, working in a law office. So, what was it like for you as you kind of came into the legal technology compared to like prior experiences that you had?
Yeah, I think I've always been in the mindset of, some sort of customer service, but also at the same time, my grandfather always used to say I could sell ice to Eskimos. And I'm sure a lot of people hear comments like that and things. And, it just, like I said, it really just clicked, technology in general. I always thought, hey, I want to do something in tech. This is, after things started booming, like the Apples and the Googles and all these big FANG companies and whatnot. And when I was doing the research, I noticed a few companies in the industry were doing really well, but that there was still so much more growth for the industry and market penetration to be had. And I really loved the product. I loved what it was doing at the time. Obviously, I love to where we are now and where we're going. So I kind of just combined all of that, my personality with the technology industry. And like you said, I have no law background or anything, but I do have family members that are lawyers. I have a lot of close friends that are lawyers, and just understanding and seeing that future of what combining all of that together would be, really got me excited. And that's why I think there's been a lot of growth and success there.
Awesome. Now you mentioned about, like I said, when you first got that call from, a friend that, was probably pretty early on in the life cycle of the Practice Panther, roadmap. So how has that been, over the last 7 years, seeing the product evolve and change?
It's been incredible, and to witness it from then till now and to understand and really have a idea of where it possibly may go, it shows how much opportunity is out there, not just for Practice Panther but for lawyers in general, right? And I'm probably going to talk about this throughout the interview a little bit, but you hear when I talk to a lot of people, attorneys themselves will even say like, "Oh, we're one of the most antiquated industries, every other industry is adopting technology so much and this and that, except for maybe like jewelers is the only other one I can think of that it's almost as antiquated as as lawyers." But to see what it's become and to see how many more attorneys and law firms really understanding and are grasping the idea of like implementing and adopting technology and putting it in a law firm, whether it's as simple as just getting paid online, right? There's so many firms that wouldn't accept online payments. And you're seeing more and more of that come to fruition. It's just a really beautiful thing to be able to see these worlds meld together, and to be a part of it, and really to see the growth and the evolution of the technology in this industry has been phenomenal.
Mhm. I can say for myself, like my background isn't as a lawyer either or an attorney. My background is accounting, and we do a lot of bookkeeping and CFO work for law firms. I would say is payments online has been like a godsend for the
Yeah.
tracking because when you have a lot of firms that are like either collecting manual checks or even cash, it is a nightmare to like track that
Hmm.
stuff down.
Exactly, exactly. And programs like Practice Panther and whatever it is, even if you're listening to this and maybe Practice Panther is not the right fit for you for whatever reason, we'll be happy to talk about that, of course. I think getting paid online and just utilizing some of that technology that you're talking about is not only going to make their lives easier, but make their accountant lives easier as well.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. One of the things that I'm curious because you mentioned about, like, said that boom of seeing other tech companies, and one of the interesting things that I've seen in the accounting space is just how a lot of times these accounting specific technologies are looking at, hey, what are the trends that are happening in technology as a whole, and then how do we work that into our product? So, as you've seen the roadmap evolve, like how much have you seen, be influenced by, what other cutting edge technology has done as a whole? And then how has the team kind of looked at, hey, is that something we can incorporate into Practice Panther?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. And I love it because it's so true how we see these things in whatever industry you're in. You got to take it and apply it and really understand how it can affect your business and your clients. So, something as simple as electronic signatures, for example. When I first started here, it was a very easy to use program, and that's always what we based ourselves on. And we wanted to build on top of that. And slowly but surely, you see, companies out there that do electronic signatures or text messaging using online platforms. So we notice, hey, these are a lot of things lawyers can be using. There's documents on documents on documents that lawyers need to get signed. Let's make it easier. Let's let it them send it out to get electronically signed. Or the text messaging example. A lot of attorneys don't want to give out their cell phone or have the clients calling them nonstop at the office. So they have a text number. Text us, we'll text you right back. So these are just two of the very many things that we noticed in the technology industry in general can be applied to the legal tech world as well.
Awesome. Now, it's interesting you mentioned about the text message because, like I said, last week I was in San Francisco sitting in a an American Bar Association meeting, and that was one of the conversations that came up about text messages, and because a lot of lawyers don't want to give out their personal cell phone number, but they do know that, hey, this is a mode of communication with our clients that they want to communicate this way. So as you saw that kind of product introduced with Practice Panther, like how did clients start responding when you start telling them about that feature?
I mean, they absolutely loved it. And to your point, they don't want to be giving out their personal cell phone. Also, a lot of law offices will have like a landline that sometimes you could text. But even if they don't want that, the cool thing with our native text messaging features is it's just basically a number that we'll assign to your firm. And that number will only go to the program itself. So again, it's not going to be going directly to the attorney's cell phone unless they want to open the app and check the text messages and things like that. But when they're on the desktop and whatnot, they can see all of that there. But the attorneys themselves loved this idea. Once we told them this was coming out to look for it, and then once it came out and we enabled it, we had adoption of that feature itself come on so fast to the majority of our users on the platform.
Nice, nice. It's always
Mhm.
interesting to think it's just like, years ago, if you would have probably told a lawyer like, "Hey, you're going to be able to text with your client." It's just like they
Yeah.
probably would have been like, "You know what? I don't think that that's really going to be something we like." But it's interesting to see how well that's been adopted.
100%. I mean, think about all the stuff out there that we once thought, hey, I'm never going to use this, or I'm not going to, need the newer, faster car, or I'm not going to want, some piece of technology incorporated into my law firm. But it's about being open and understanding the use cases and how it's going to benefit your firm and your practice and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And like I said initially in the conversation here, I think lawyers are understanding that more and more. Let's not be afraid of technology. Let's embrace it and utilize it and evolve with it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Now, one of the things that does come up a lot when I'm talking to different lawyers, so I was at some conferences recently and talking to lawyers, and one of the questions they were like, how do I know, which practice management software is the right fit for me? So I want to talk about what are some of the common problems that you're hearing people, talk about that practice management software is there to solve.
Yeah. So, I mean, today the industry is very saturated. I think a lot of people notice, hey, this is something that lawyers need. The cool thing with, specifically Practice Panther, and there's some other programs as well, is where it's not just all in one and you can do everything within the program, but it caters to the different practice areas. So of course, every practice is going to be different, right? I'm not going to say in fact, none of them are the same, to be honest. Everyone you talk to is going to say, my firm's special. We do this way, that way. They want to find a system that's going to be, very robust and powerful, whether it comes to calendaring or, like we talked about, getting paid electronically. I think the biggest thing doesn't even have to do with one of the features. It's more about a little bit of what we talked about as well, adopting the technology and adapting to it as technology moves faster and faster. And that's why it's important to find a program with the historical value of seeing, hey, this program, when it started, did amazing things for its time. And today it's still doing amazing things for its time. And that's where I genuinely believe Practice Panther resides. We're just staying ahead of the game. We're coming out with things when other programs are taking 2 or 3 years later to come out with them. But those are the pain points. I think it's more about adopting the technology, which I know the market has penetrated a bit more in that sense. But I really think, besides the organization of calendaring and making sure all your time gets completed, or, getting things signed electronically, getting paid online, a plethora of things that firms want to be able to do. But the first thing you got to do is get a piece of technology and work from there. Find something especially that's going to be easy to use for not just you, but other people in the firm as well.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that calendar feature? Because I think in talking to some people, especially just different law firm owners, they're very very busy people, and a lot of times I don't think that they fully understand the calendaring feature that is built into some softwares. Because so, can you talk a little bit about that and how Practice Panther incorporates that?
Sure. So you have a calendar, like anyone you talk to, calendar, they picture, the days of the week, the days in the month, whatever it may be. And you're looking at that, okay, like a normal calendar. Now, with Practice Panther, you can sync it with your Google Calendar, with your Outlook calendar, or you can use it as a standalone calendar. Now, the beauty of specifically Practice Panther's calendaring, or any practice management you're going to look at, you want to make sure it has things like task reminders, being able to put in events. Because again, tasks and events could be two different things. A task is something you might need to do, Terrell, whereas an event is something you might need to attend. And having a program that understands that and allows you to docket for that, and then having, triggering functions. When I complete task A, task B will show up 7 days later on the calendar. Things like workflows that are embedded into Practice Man. If I know every divorce case that I get is going to have the same steps, more or less, let me just apply this workflow, we call it, where it's the same steps. Every time I get this type of case, I can just put it onto a matter in Practice Panther, and the calendar will fill up with all those tasks and events that need to be completed. And this, I know from the get-go, has always been something that has allowed attorneys to spend less time on entering that stuff and more time on actually completing it.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So when it comes down to, some of the there are common problems that people have about trying to find the right practice management. And then there are some of those unique things, and you've mentioned some of them, but are there any other unique things that's like, hey, Practice Panther is really good at solving these type of problems, or like these are the type of problems that our clients are telling us, like, man, I am glad that I got Practice Panther for it helps me do XYZ.
For sure. So first of all, I'm happy you mentioned that, because we are listening to clients. That's always been a big focus point for us, is hearing what the clients have to say, since we, established ourselves years ago. And that's how we've also been able to apply a lot of these things that you're talking about, that the attorneys are really utilizing and feeling like they're getting out of the program. And to answer your question, it's tough because This all depends on the type of firm you are. But that's the beauty with Practice Panther, which I kind of talked to, is like we're geared to work with many different practice areas. So whether you're sending out documents for electronic signatures, or if you want text communication like we talked about, or building out those workflows we talked about to best fit your day to day and all those tedious tasks, we can accomplish all of that. And of course, we mentioned also getting paid online. But I think a big challenge a lot of lawyers that I've spoken to in the past found themselves dealing with and facing is capturing something as simple as your time, right? You're on the go, you're doing things, you sent an email, you did this, you did that. They're not really capturing all that time to be able to whether, bill to the client and show the firm that they're procuring these clients and billing them time for. So Practice Panther will always be a system that I feel gives you that advantage and making sure that you're able to capture all that time. And then which will eventually lead to sending out batch invoices where you don't have to go to each invoice and send it out one by one. There's an awesome feature where you can just send out all invoices at the end of the month. Again, if that's the type of firm you are, but there's always going to be different features for those different types of firms. But I really believe it just gives you this really powerful all-in-one solution to run your practice. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. We have a very, very aggressive and compelling roadmap that we're working on. So whether you decide, if you're a law firm out there, and whether you decide to purchase something today, in a week, in a month, or in a year, I'm supremely confident that eventually your firm will be purchasing some piece of legal technology, practice management software.
Awesome. I love it. So if people are interested in saying like, hey, I want to find out a little bit more about Practice Panther, where should they go to look online?
Yeah, so our team does a great job at getting us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, but I would strongly urge you to check out practicepanther.com. You can either create a trial from there, you can schedule a demo, or you can just take a look at the website and all the cool articles and features and blogs and everything we're pushing out. And this is constantly updated. And then I would also say, hey, I'm here. You're listening to me. I want to work with you. Send me an email. Let's connect. Schedule time with me. You can reach me at sam@practicepanther.com. And, I take a much more consultative approach to these things. I don't just want to shove this down your throat. I want to understand your business, because if we're not right for you, I'm going to, send you to where I think you'd best be fit.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Now, one of the things I'm also curious about is, with getting out there, doing like different events and stuff. Are there any major events that Practice Panther has on the calendar that, hey, if people show up at these conferences, they may see you guys?
Yeah, we go to a lot of different events. We, are very heavily involved with obviously the Miami-Dade bar here in Miami. Since this is where Practice Panther is headquartered, we go to a lot of the New York legal shows. But I would say the first one that comes to mind, that we are there every single year. I've been there myself 5 years running now, is the ABA show in Chicago, the ABA Tech Show. Not only just come see us at the booth, but really get an idea of where the legal technology industry is in general when you're there. It's probably one of the most, participated events throughout the year when it comes to these tech shows and these different conferences. And there's a lot of great mingling and getting to know people, and then seeing old faces and meeting new faces. So it's a really great time, but also very informative. And I really hope to see a lot of you there, including yourself, Terrell.
Absolutely. Well, I will definitely be there this year, so I'll be looking for you.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait.
Awesome. So, as we wrap up, one of the questions I always love asking, because, we talked about a lot of great things. But when you think about like, a lot of the points in the different discussions that we've talked about, if you were talking to a lawyer and saying, hey, I was on the Law and Finance show with Terrell. If you're going to go listen to my interview, hey, here are two really big takeaways that I want you to keep from that conversation that I had with Terrell. What would your two big takeaways be?
It's a good question. I think, we started off with this actually. I think take away how fast technology is moving. Think about that, right? Where technology was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The internet was only out, 30 years now or so. It's moving fast. And people, like we talked about earlier, they're always saying the legal industry is one of the most antiquated industries. I've heard that so many times. But to be honest, in recent years, I'm finding that to become less and less true. So if you're taking anything from this, and if you're a firm that's not utilizing technology, or maybe you are and it's just not making your life easier, please reach out to us to discuss this with us, not just regarding Practice Panther, but regarding your firm and what we think can be best for you in utilizing different pieces of technology. It's essential nowadays to adopt a program that works for you. And again, I just genuinely believe that Practice Panther can be that product for your practice.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, Sam, thank you again for being an amazing guest. It was a pleasure having you on today.
Awesome. I really appreciate your time and awesome work that you're doing. It's so much fun to hear and watch all your shows.
If you're looking for ideas on how to manage and grow a profitable law firm, this Facebook group is perfect for you because every week we are featuring conversations with successful lawyers and businesses related to law firms on tips, ideas, and technology that are helping many people grow and manage a profitable law firm. So if you're looking for great tips and ideas, you definitely want to click the link below so you can join the conversation and be part of the Law Firms and Finance Facebook group.